Welcome to Leadership Rediscovered. I'm your host, Laura Siebold, and today I am so excited to be joined by my dear friend, Michelle Oates Duda. Michelle, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to chat with you.
Yes, I'm excited too. All right, I'm going to run through your bio here real quick, and then we'll get started. Michelle is one of North Central West Virginia's top real estate producers with almost $75 million in sales volume since 2020. I'm just going to say that again. $75 million in sales volume since 2020. As a lifelong resident of Morgantown, Michelle possesses a unique and in-depth knowledge of the Morgantown community. The relationships and connections she has fostered over the years are a very valuable asset to her clients and those new to the area. These relationships are what set her on a path to beginning her real estate career when Ryan Bashauer, owner of Compass Realty Group, recruited her to his new agency. She's something of a jack of all trades in her education and work path. Michelle graduated from West Virginia University with both undergraduate and master's degrees in accounting. Fresh from college, she began her career as a management trainee for One Valley Bank. From there, she enjoyed teaching accounting at 2 West Virginia colleges until WVU hired her during their first IRS audit to help create a tax accounting department. While raising her 2 sons, she assisted entrepreneurs in creating their own small businesses and worked in property management. This experience allowed her to create her own successful real estate business in 2018. In 2019, Michelle started a video series called All Things Morgantown, highlighting some of the wonderful businesses, events, and neighborhoods the community has to offer. Michelle and her sister-in-law, Jenna Straffus Oates, also started Monarch Interiors, providing staging services and interior design. In 2021, Michelle took on a real estate business partner, Zach Pell, and they formed the Extra Mile Realtors. They pride themselves in staying ahead of real estate trends and technology, and their beautiful marketing has garnered accolades. Giving back to her community is also very important to Michelle. She has been involved in fundraisers for WVU Children's Hospital, United Way, Girls on the Run, Libera, Lauren's Wish, Mon County Child Advocacy Center, and many more. Michelle credits her close relationships with friends and family for allowing her to prosper in her various life projects. In her spare time, she enjoys spending time with those she loves, reading, writing, gardening, and taking care of others. Michelle is also very generous but humble, and so didn't write that in her bio, but a very generous lady, and I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's hard to talk about yourself.
I know, but you have a lot to be proud of, and
thank you.
You have such a great story. I have been so excited to have you on this podcast. Will you just start from the beginning and just walk everyone through your leadership journey?
Well, I was just telling you that I don't think I really sat down and reflected on it until you asked me these questions. And I did remember probably about junior high age being more involved in student leadership and running for student council. And then I started thinking, well, I think it went all the way back to my childhood. Growing up here in Morgantown, I grew up in a wonderful neighborhood, Braywick Woods, very family friendly, and some of my best friends I made there in that community. And we used to have fundraisers, carnivals, different events where we would raise money for different charities, Special Olympics, and things that were important to me. So I think that from an early age, I was always trying to be creative and find ways to help other people and just an outlet for things that I wanted to do. I'm more of a, I guess, very compassionate but passionate person.
Yes.
So I'm always trying to think of the next thing, how to help people, how to enjoy life and being creative on my own. So I think it did go back all the way to my childhood. And then I remember being at Suncrest Junior High and somebody saying, you should run for student council president. I was like, I don't even know what that is. But I remember, I remember writing a speech with my parents and giving it. And I didn't have a lot of confidence back then. I was very shy and somewhat introverted, but I think it was a good way to kind of get me a little out of my shell and start, appreciating different types of leadership opportunities and
Yeah.
where that could take me. And then in high school, I became the student body president at Morgantown
Oh,
High.
wow.
And so I think it's kind of been a lifelong journey. And
Yeah.
then having different careers
Mhm.
has been very enjoyable because I feel like I'm a lifelong learner. I'm not one that wants to just do the same thing every day all the time. So,
Mhm.
having the opportunity to have been able to work in various fields and learn different trades and crafts, and it's just been very enjoyable for me. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, so I feel blessed for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, but I love it, and I think about this podcast is about leadership, and we
Right.
talk about all things leadership, and I feel like sometimes people assume I'm always referring to someone who leads other people and, a boss type of scenario, which I know you do lead people, but at the same time, I also feel like, you can't be successful as a leader if you haven't mastered self-leadership. And to me, you're really a very good example of someone who has really strong self-leadership. I mean, I think
Thank you.
about, yeah, just to get to the sales volume, which I'm sure is even more than 75 million, because this is probably a little old, so I know it just keeps going up and up and up. But when people I think real estate can look very glamorous to people from the
hmm
outside looking in, but there's a lot that goes into the path to be at this level that you're at, and so I'd love to hear from you just what does it take, to lead yourself in that way and to have the discipline, the passion I know you have, but I mean, just kind of give us some insight into some of those skills that you've had to develop over time.
Well, I think that I was fortunate in coming into real estate at kind of a later period of time in my career path. And so I had had a lot of, I guess, other jobs and resources that kind of led
Mhm.
me to this path. So, for example, being in banking, I've been on the other
Yes.
side of real estate transactions and doing mortgages and working with customers and clients. So that was a huge help to me.
Mhm.
When I was recruited by WVU, they were in the middle of their first IRS audit, and they had no idea what the IRS was targeting
Oh
colleges and
gosh.
universities for at that time. And so they said, we need somebody to come in and kind of facilitate the audit and
Mhm.
then create a tax accounting division within the controller's office. So I think that was my first really big challenge in terms of how do I put together a department, a
Mhm.
group of people, and figure out what needs to be done to make sure that we're doing what we need to do.
Yeah.
So I started that department kind of from the ground up. So that
That's so
was really
cool.
good experience for me in terms of how to kind of create a business.
Mhm.
And then while I was raising my boys, I was helping other small businesses kind of establish and create their own business. So
Mhm.
I've had a lot of experience in that. So then when I started with real estate, it was like take those skills to work for me in
Yeah.
terms of creating my own business. And for me, it was I wanted to do something completely different than everyone else because you're
Mhm.
coming into a market and an industry where there's some really wonderfully powerful females and males
Yeah.
that have been in the business for a really long time. So my goal
Mhm.
was, how do I set myself different aside from everyone else?
Right.
I don't think I've ever been kind of a follower. I think I purposely look at things and say, how can I do this completely different than everyone
Yeah.
else? And for me, it was just about showing my relationship with Morgantown and the community.
Mhm.
I've grown up here, I've lived here my whole life. My family goes all the way back to Jacqueline Morgan.
Oh my
So we have a
gosh.
lot of roots in this community.
Yeah.
So really just putting myself out there and just showing people, this is something that I can help you with. And
Mhm.
I'm vested in our community and I'm invested in my clients because most of them I have relationships with. They're
Yes.
friends, people that I've worked with in the past and other careers. So to me, it was just about how do I pull all of these things together and
Mhm.
really kind of showcase what I want to do for myself and for the Morgantown community. So I had a wonderful photographer, Rachel Matlick, and she and I would do a lot of brainstorming, and we came up with the video series All Things Morgantown. And for that, it was just really showing my community and just introducing
Yeah.
people to local businesses and restaurants and shopping, and just really showing what Morgantown has to offer, because that's a really big part of real estate and working with people, especially people that are
Mhm.
coming in from out of state and they don't know the area. So that was just a really enjoyable, fun little thing that I started kind of as a side to my job, and then really just figuring out, what people want.
Mhm.
What do you need? And really, it's about holding someone's hand, being their friend, and um, like their strong presence to get them through a very stressful situation.
Yes.
And that's just something that innately I love to do, is to help people. So I've really been fortunate to reconnect, even with some. I've sold houses for three of my um, elementary school
Oh my gosh.
teachers.
Oh my gosh.
So just having that reconnection with people in the
Yeah.
community that have meant a lot to me is
Yeah.
it's been good.
That is
It's
so
been, yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, I mean, you talked about from the very beginning, even when you were little, doing the fundraisers and, wanting to help people. And for sure, especially within real estate, there is a huge element
Mhm.
of working with people, helping them. And you're right, that is a very stressful time.
Mhm.
Something else that you've mentioned a couple times is about relationships. And I
Mhm.
think you can't underestimate the power of relationships, but especially in a leadership context, I do think sometimes that is an area that sometimes leaders struggle with a little bit, is either developing relationships or understanding the value of relationships. So I'd just like to hear really what relationships mean to you in what you do, and then any tips or advice you have on how to build better relationships, because I know that's a strength for you for sure.
Well, I think it's for me, it's just natural. I mean, some of my best friends today have been my best friends for 30 and 40 years. So,
Mm,
to me, when I connect with people, that's not a connection that I want to just have and then go
like
away.
a transaction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just really developing friendships and connections to people and what they mean to you in your life. And so I've been very fortunate to have so many people that have supported me through so many different journeys. But the real estate journey, I've really been able to kind of get back out there. It's
Hmm.
kind of hard. After you've kind of been a stay-at-home mom for I was a stay-at-home mom for 18 years, even though I
Wow.
was doing other things
Yeah.
on my own, but to just kind of go back out and reconnect with the world.
Yes.
I think that it's really more of an eternal thing for me. It's just a natural part of being with people and getting to know people, and just wanting to be a part of their lives and doing what I
Mm.
can to help them. So for me, it's not that complicated, I
Right.
guess.
It comes natural. It's real
It's
genuine for you.
it's just, I guess, who I am. I mean, I don't really go around and think that I'm a leader. I don't
Yeah.
I'm definitely more reserved. I'm not, kind of like out there everywhere. At
Yeah.
least I try not to be. I know people are like, "We see you on a billboard. We see you here." Sorry.
No.
But
Don't be sorry.
yeah.
Those are good pictures.
Thank you. But yeah, for me it's just, what can I do to get myself out there to help
Yeah.
people with this particular process in their life. And I've met some wonderful people and made some wonderful new friends, and
Mm.
I guess I'm just me, and I just
Yeah.
try to do what I can to help.
No,
So,
I love that though. And that's gotta, I mean, that takes a lot of courage though to put yourself out there, especially if you are more inclined to be a little bit more on the shy side or the introverted side, to kind of just step out there, especially after having a different focus for so many years and then saying, okay, I'm just going to jump into this. I mean, was that scary
it
for
was
you?
so scary.
Okay, I
It was
thought.
very scary, to start a new career and a new life,
Mhm.
and figure out, how am I gonna make this work?
Yeah.
And again, I think, just with my personality, I'm very, like, passionate, and I'm not, like, a half in, half out. Like, when
Mhm.
I'm in, I'm, like,
All in.
110% in.
Yeah.
And so, when I first started, I was like, I said, "What can I do to be different?" And, it's just a lot of, like, self-teaching and
Mhm.
research, and just kinda looking to see what other people are doing, and, just trying to find a way to be different and to take a lot of the creative energy that I have and use that to, help the business grow.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've been very blessed to have kind of done all of this in a very short amount of time. But I'm
Yeah.
a hard worker. I
Yes.
work very hard.
Yes.
I don't really have a lazy streak, and that's maybe not always a positive thing, but
Mhm.
I really do try to just do the best I can with everything every day. And I'm a very focused person too. I
Mhm.
don't really get involved in a lot of side stuff. I just
Yes.
really try to focus on what my goals are. So I think goal setting is very important.
Yes.
Even if you're not a so called leader of a team,
Mhm.
just goal setting for yourself. And I know you and I
Right.
have talked about that in the past,
Yeah.
that you've done different clinics and
Yeah.
conferences for women on how to set goals and what do you want to accomplish. And I think that that's really important. I try to do that
Mhm.
actually more than once a year, just kind of sit down and what do I want to accomplish and how do I think I can get there? And then if it's not working,
Yeah.
then just kind of redirect and, find something else. But I'm always constantly thinking too. I'm an overthinker. So I'm constantly trying to figure out, what's the next thing?
Yep.
What do I want to do next?
Mhm.
And it's just so far, knock on wood, it's worked for me. So,
Yeah.
and it's been fun. It really has. So it's just probably the most enjoyable career of all the different
Yes.
careers that
Well,
I've
it sounds
had.
more enjoyable than setting up a tax
Yes.
accountant or
Although
audit
that was a
division,
major challenge,
for
and
sure.
it was something that I'm pretty proud to have accomplished in my
Yeah.
career. And yeah, back to the banking days. I made so many wonderful relationships then, and a
Yeah.
lot of those people are still in this industry, and I work with them still to this day. So, just having some really deep roots in the community and,
Mhm.
working with people and building the relationships has been really important to me.
Yeah, for sure. And I just think, again, it is very inspiring to hear how you've been able to be successful. And I'm glad that you talked about, you do work hard. And like I said, I think from the outside looking in, it's like, wow, this is glitzy and glamorous. And I want to be a real estate, or a realtor. And I want to be like Michelle and do, all these things, which is great. But there's a lot that goes into behind the scenes that people don't see.
Absolutely.
There is a lot of work. There is a lot of thinking. And, one thing that I've really come to learn about you is you have a very strong business mind. I mean, you're thinking about things, even when you talked about, how can I do this differently? How can I be different? You're thinking about, okay, what's my, value proposition as a business? What is my niche? How can I separate myself? That's very business oriented to think about, your company, you within that business as well, but really just overall holistically, okay, what separates me from everybody else? I mean, that's a key first step to setting up a successful business because there's a lot of other options, right? And a lot of,
Absolutely.
successful people, like you said. And so figuring out, okay, what's my path going to be that's different? Where can I still operate? And again, having the courage to step out and do that, that's huge. I feel like there's probably so many people out there, especially women, who have goals, and you know how I'm passionate about that, you're right, but things that they dream about, things they wanna do, and, maybe they are a stay-at-home mom right now or just in a position where they're maybe not able
To get out.
to
Yeah.
do. Yeah. What would you say, or what advice would you have for those types of individuals?
I would say you have to have that internal confidence and
Mhm.
not be afraid,
Mhm.
and just recognize that every failure will lead to a success at some point.
Mhm.
And it really does boil down to I'm not, like I said, I've never been like an overly confident person,
Mhm.
but I have faith that what I know how to do or what I can do will get me wherever I need to be.
Yeah.
And if it's not the right path, then you shift.
Yeah.
But I think really it's just trying. It's taking that step to just
Mhm.
try it and have the confidence. Okay, even if I fail, it's
Yes.
okay. At
Yes.
least I put myself out there. At least I tried. And
Yeah.
you may be extremely successful. So,
Mhm.
I just think it's really important to have that internal confidence that you can do
Yes.
something and really go for it. And
Yeah.
if you fail, you fail and you learn from
Right.
every failure. So for me, it's really about just taking that step and
Yes.
not worrying about other people's opinions
Mm.
or thoughts or
Mhm.
beliefs on who you are as a person.
Mhm.
You just need to kind of know who you are internally and
Yeah.
really believe in yourself and, go out there and do what you can do and,
Yeah. And try, like you
and
said, because
try.
I think a lot of times people worry about failure and they
I feel
worry about regret. But typically people regret the things they didn't try,
correct. I
didn't
agree.
do
Yeah.
versus, I just imagine if you were just like, oh, I don't know. I
Yeah.
want to do this thing, but it's just a little too scary for me, so I'm just going to put it on the shelf. You've had such a positive impact on so many people's lives, which you did prior to this as well. But I mean, just think about how much more you've been able to have an impact by doing the work that you're doing right now. It's just really cool to
Oh,
see
thank
where
you.
that goes and like I said, the ripple effect of all of it.
Well, thank you for saying
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
absolutely.
it's been fun. I mean, like I said, getting in the market when I did and just kind of getting out there and trying to do things different and shake up
Mhm.
things and shake up the market and all of my marketing, which is thank the Lord for Zach Pell. I mean, he has just been amazing to work with. He's so good with all of our marketing and just creatively, we work so well together. And
Mhm.
but yeah, it's just go out and do it and
Yeah.
don't be afraid to fail. And there's so many different paths you can take. It's just taking that first step.
Yeah.
When I, was back and forth on whether I was going to do real estate, I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know. This is going to be a lot of work. It's going to be this. It's going
Mhm.
to take a lot of time. And, it did take me about 6 months kind of going back and forth. But then once I pulled the trigger, I was
Yes.
like, okay, we're full bore,
I'm in.
110%. And then, it just goes from there.
That's
So
so great. I love
that's,
that.
yeah.
I was reading an article, I gotta pull this quote up, but it was in the, Excellion magazine about you, and it's a very good article, but
Thank you.
you're welcome, you're quoted as saying, "One's power comes from within. It's how you feel about yourself and your connection to the world. Powerful women possess numerous attributes that allow them to be successful leaders." And I love that
Oh,
because I
thank
agree, I
you.
think there's a lot of, great leaders out there, but especially, attributes that women have. And I'd love to hear your perspective on some things that you think, women uniquely bring to the table in a leadership capacity.
Well, one, I think we're excellent multitaskers.
Yes. I agree.
So we know how to do a lot of things at
Mhm.
one time, but
Yeah.
really just believing in yourself,
Mhm.
being honest, being
Mhm.
hardworking, um, passionate about
Yeah.
things in life. Um, just being honest and trustworthy.
Yes.
And, that's something that I really try to do all the time is just kind of speak my mind and
Mhm.
be a very honest, kind of trustworthy person. I'm pretty much like out there. It's
Yeah.
all there. You got to just put it out and people
Yeah.
react to it however they will. I think communication is key, especially in our job,
Mhm.
communicating to people and,
Yes.
just really making sure that people understand the process. And I think that really goes with any job. The more communication that you have about
Yes.
something, the better you're going to be success wise.
Mhm.
Um, those are, probably to me the most important attributes. I'm a very organized person. I'm a little OCD at times, so
But
that
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 helps.
that helps too. Um, but I think that every leader and every woman possesses their own internal attributes, and
Mhm.
that's what makes us all so unique and different in
Mhm.
all of the roles that we perform. I mean, look at you and everything that you've
Oh,
accomplished, and
thanks.
just how successful you are. And obviously, you have your own attributes, just
Yeah.
like, someone else would.
Yeah.
So it's just really what works for you.
Mhm.
So,
Well, and that's important, and I think, you've brought up a couple times, I think, knowing yourself
yeah.
and thinking about what it is that you want, what are your goals, being in touch with who you are, what you're good at. You did have a pretty thoughtful approach on, okay, what do I want to do next? What's important to me? What do I like doing? And what do I know about myself? I know that it's got to be different. I got to
Right.
do it
Yes.
differently, and how does that all come together? But in being able to do that, I mean, you really did know yourself pretty well, and you probably spent a good bit of time really thinking that through. And so I think it is important not to just jump over that, because that's an important element of really taking the time to figure out who you are,
Absolutely.
right?
And coming into it, like I said, a new career a little later in life, and I've
Mhm.
had so many wonderful career opportunities that have kind of allowed me to figure out who I am and what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I just encourage all of the young, successful, powerful women that,
Mhm.
how do you get there? Just keep going, just
Yeah.
keep fighting, just figure out who you are and what you want and what you believe in, and just go for it. I
Yeah,
mean,
and keep trying.
keep
Keep
trying,
trying.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I've worked with some really wonderful young women who are getting started in this business too, that do have that passion, but they
That's
have other
awesome.
attributes that they
Yeah.
can bring to the table. So
Yeah.
I think it's just like you said, knowing who you are and finding your uniqueness,
Yeah.
and what is it that you want to do, and what do you want to how do you want to make your mark on the world. Obviously selling real estate isn't like finding the cure for COVID, but
Yeah.
it's just knowing that I'm helping people, or I can make their life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Um,
But that's a
and
really important milestone in people's lives when you think about kind of the biggies in someone's life, buying and selling a house,
yeah,
moving, a lot of times, especially if they're moving from out of state. And there's a lot of emotion, and there's a lot of things
absolutely.
that's tied into that. It's not just a transaction.
I agree, and that's why I said I don't look at my job as just
Yeah.
performing a service or a transaction for somebody. It's
Mhm.
really becoming involved in their lives, their families.
Mhm.
Like I said, I've been able to reconnect with a lot of people, and sometimes they need more help than just, I'm going to write you a contract, or I'm going to list your house.
Mhm.
Who do I call for this? Or I
Yes.
need help with this, or you know, we have no one, we're 80 years old, we have no one to help us move. I'll get my
Yeah.
boys and we'll put on our sweats and
Mm.
we'll go load moving
Yeah.
moving trucks. So again, for me, it's just, I think, an extension of who I am and what
Yeah.
I want to be, which is just, helping
Helping
people.
people,
So
caring
yeah.
about people, and there's that generous spirit coming in again. All
Well,
right.
that's why I said I'm not one to really talk about
I
myself, but
know,
it's
I
more of like,
know.
I just want to do what I can to impact
Yeah,
people in their lives,
in
and
your
it's
way.
very simple.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't need to be
Well, I was gonna say, I
complicated.
was gonna ask you your definition of leadership, but I feel like, I'll give you, I'll ask the question, but I feel like you've done, a pretty good job of kind of, already answering that question. How would you define leadership in your own words?
Um, for me, again, it's just about getting out there and discovering who you are, and
Mhm.
how do you put your passion into something that's important to you, and teach people along the way,
Mhm.
and have successes, have failures, and just keep going.
Mhm.
I think we all have the ability to be a leader.
Yeah.
You just have to want it, and you've got to just go for it,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. No, you're
So,
right. And honestly, the helping people aspect of it is so important. And being able to just think about, okay, what is it that I can do to help this person make their day better, make their day brighter. And that could be in a workplace context, with their
right.
career. It could be in a relational context. There's a lot of different ways to look at it for sure.
How do you look at it?
Oh
Has anybody ever
gosh.
asked you the question?
I don't know
Turn
if
turn the
anyone's
tables on
turn the
you and ask you.
tables. Yeah. You know what? My definition of leadership is very simple. It's enabling the success of other people.
Mhm.
So to me, it's really about, you're in a position of influence and impact, and how can you make things better? Just like you said, how can you help? How can you make things better? But it's really about, if I'm leading people, a group of people as an example, to me it's about how can I create success for
For
them,
them. Mhm.
and what does success look like for them, because that
Right.
definition's different for
Absolutely.
everyone. But what is it that they're trying to accomplish? What do they want to achieve? How can I remove barriers for them, pave the way for them? to really shine and be successful and be more. I always wanted people to be more successful than me. That was my goal. If they could be, and again, based on their definition, it wasn't just, where they fell on an org chart necessarily, but hey, what are the things that this person needs, and each individual is different. And
Right.
so a lot of leadership is about finding out what makes someone tick and what are their goals, and how do you help them achieve their potential. Because I think sometimes people do struggle, people get stuck, they have a desire, they have a will to accomplish something, but they need a little bit of help getting there. And like I said, it could be, let me remove an obstacle for you, or maybe let me give you some feedback to help you get to where you're trying to go. But at the end of the day, I think it's really just about enabling the success of others and,
Yeah,
adding
that's a
value in that way.
good definition as
Thanks.
well.
Thanks, Michelle. I like the tables turned here. This was fun. I like it. So I think about just the career path that you have had, especially starting with as a management trainee, which those are good programs too. You learn a lot from
You
those types
do.
of programs too. But I'd be curious to hear some things that maybe, if you could go back and talk to that Michelle, one Valley Bank management trainee, Michelle, what advice would you give her? Or what are some things that maybe you believed earlier on in your career that you've kind of learned to think differently about now?
I think it goes back to believing in yourself and
Mm.
being and having that confidence that you can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Back then in the One Valley Bank days, that was such an incredible, fun, wonderful
I
experience. I
bet.
have still, like I said, wonderful friends from that time in my life. I don't know that I had developed the confidence at that point that I
Mm-hmm.
could do what I wanted to do. I don't know that I believed in myself back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just, again, just getting yourself out there and do it, and don't
Mm-hmm.
be afraid. Don't listen to the weight of others' opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Don't allow people to judge you or to put you in a particular box.
Yes.
Figure out what path you want to go and make it happen for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really just about finding your place
Mm-hmm.
and just being confident that you can do it no matter what.
Yeah, and comfortable in your own skin.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think back then I didn't have, obviously all of the experience I have now.
Right.
So I was definitely not as comfortable in my
Mm-hmm.
own skin or
Mm-hmm.
confident that I could do certain tasks or
Yes.
that I could learn how to write a commercial loan or that I could.
Right.
So, but it was an incredible opportunity. And, I trained in all facets of banking, and it was just a really good foundation for me
Mm-hmm.
to kind of start on this crazy career path that has kind of taken so many different twists and turns. But
Yeah.
that's what life's about.
Yeah.
It's about finding all of these different things that interest you or inspire you or make you want to do better in life. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's been awesome. I wouldn't really
Yeah.
change anything about it. um, I definitely knew I wasn't going to go down the accounting route after after getting two
Oh
degrees, but
my. Yeah.
that did for sure help me in terms of knowing how to kind of create
Yeah.
my business for myself and make it successful.
Yeah,
So
I think about just your story. It's always so interesting to me to hear. I love hearing people's career journey and their
stories.
career stories, because even if it looks on paper sometimes to people where someone, maybe moves, in this direction and in this direction, there's always connections. I mean, when you
Yeah,
walked through, okay, I learned the banking side, and I got to set up, this tax department, and went through this audit process, and you start thinking about all the things, the small businesses that you helped, how all of that builds to where
absolutely.
you are now.
Yeah.
It's not just these separate things that you did, they all had connection points. And yeah, even though maybe you're like, oh, I don't think I want to be an accountant for my whole life,
Hmm.
at least, you were able to take some really good learnings from that
Right.
you could apply. And like I said, I know that, and what I love talking to you, because you do have a business mind. You just think we always talk about engineers. Engineers are trained to think a
Mhm.
certain way. Business people are trained to think a certain way too. And so it's
Right.
just really cool to hear how you filter things as you think about them through that business lens. And no, you don't have to still be running that department in order to do that. You can
Right.
take the learning from it, which is really cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Ooh. Well, what is next for you? Is there
I don't
anything
know.
you
I'm
can
not sure.
share?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm always trying to find the next thing and the next.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't like things to just be status quo all the
Uh-huh.
time. So I'll have to continue to shake things
Yeah.
up somewhere into the other. But I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've really enjoyed um, taking Zach under my wing and
Yeah.
working with him and seeing how far he's come. He just passed his broker's exam
Oh,
yesterday.
that's awesome.
So,
Congratulations, Zach.
yeah, when you take, you work with a 23-year-old and it's almost like I'm going back through that whole process that I'd already
Yes.
done for myself and just
Yeah.
really kind of helping to inspire and to teach and to really lead other people.
Yeah.
So I hope to continue to still do that and
Yeah.
hope to continue to help our community and different charities that are important to me. And
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's the fun thing about life is you just kind
Mhm.
of hold on and go and see what comes next.
See what
So
comes next. I love
yeah.
that. But I think
Mhm.
that's cool because again, you're very humble and when we've been talking about this in the past, you're like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm like a leader per se, which you 100% are, but I do think it's really cool too to see the relationship that you and Zach have and the way that you've been able to, pass on. It's a very complementary relationship because he brings very specific skills and attributes to the
Mhm.
table, but you also have the ability to provide a lot of leadership to him, which I'm sure is invaluable from his perspective too. I mean, what a gift to start your career in this type of a setup. I mean, he's got a
Yeah,
sweet
it's
gig.
oh,
Sweet
well,
gig you
it's
have,
worked
Zach.
it's worked well for both of us. It really
Oh,
has. So,
that's
yeah,
cool.
I'm blessed
All
for
right,
sure.
everyone's gonna keep an eye to see
Oh,
what Michelle's
what we're
gonna
gonna do next?
keep going and keep driving and see what happens next from here, which is exciting.
Well, thank
You're
you.
welcome. What else? I guess, one more question I wanted to ask you and failed to ask. Is just how do you stay motivated? How do you get out of bed every day? Because you got a lot of momentum and it's a lot of hard work and it can be a lot of pressure. I mean, what are the things that keep pushing you to get out of bed and stay motivated?
Again, I think it's just my internal drive. I just think
Yeah.
it's who I am as a person.
Yeah.
Like I've always been that way. Like I've always just had to go like
Yep.
110%.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously my family is so important. My boys,
Mm.
getting out of bed to work for them and
Yeah.
to really show them what they can do. I want them to look at me as their mother, but also as, a successful business person and
Yes.
what I've been able to do when, they've kind of are more used to me in the role of a stay-at-home mom
Right.
to see what I've been able to do and hopefully inspire them
Yeah.
to really take their career wherever they want it to go. And
Yeah.
so yeah, obviously I take my days off. I've got to have my down days.
Well,
I'm
but that's
not
important.
I'm not on
Yeah,
24/7. I
that's
mean, it
important
is
because you would
important for
go
me
you would get
to
really burnt out if you didn't take that time.
yeah, and I kind of learned that when I was starting the whole real estate thing and I was working 24/7 like 365. I was
Yes.
not taking time for myself. I was completely all in
Mhm.
and it started to affect my health and I was like, you need to redirect. So
Yes.
that's the other thing is when you are out there and you're really trying and you're really pushing yourself, you really do have to take the time for yourself and
Yeah.
to take care of yourself.
No,
So
I'm
that,
glad you brought that up too, because I think that's an important piece. And again, someone from the outside looking in might not recognize there's a lot of work that goes into it, but at the same
absolutely.
time, you have to find that balance that works for you in terms of
Yeah.
managing that. Otherwise, it could really impact your health, like you said.
Yeah. And this year, I really have concentrated on trying to figure out how to have a better work life balance. And I think
Mhm.
that's really hard for for us women,
Yeah.
moms. We
Yeah.
just, always feel like we're going in 10 different directions.
Mhm.
So I've really this year tried to find time to take for myself and to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Because if we're not here, who's gonna who's
Yeah.
gonna take care of our kids,
All the
right?
multitasking. Who's
Right.
gonna
Who's gonna do it
juggle and
all?
hold all those balls up in the air at the same time,
Right.
right? That's
Yeah.
so true,
So
though. That's good. I'm glad that you said that because I think it is something that gets missed, especially anyone who serves in a caretaking kind of role, who wants
mhm.
to help people, who is wired to take care of other people. That's something that can get easily missed is, wait a
Absolutely.
second, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? You
Right.
hear people say that all the time, but it's true. I mean, you have to
Mhm.
make sure that you are taking care of yourself too.
And that's also kind of part of being a leader, If somebody
Yes.
sees that you're doing that, then maybe they will recognize how important it is for them as well. So
Yes, and it gives them a permission slip that it's
it's
okay.
okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I really think you can see leadership in so many different ways and so many different people, and everybody
Yeah.
defines it differently. And
Yes.
so, yeah, I think what you're doing in terms of putting people out there and talking about leadership and women in business and everything that you do for the community, I think
Oh,
is wonderful. And I'm so
thanks,
glad that our
Michelle.
paths have
Me
crossed and
too.
enjoy our friendship, and
Yeah, me too. Thank
really happy for
you.
you and your success as well.
Thank you. It's good. We all, this is Michelle is a really good example of women lifting up other women and supporting other women. And I think that is important in business as well and in
Thank you.
leadership,
Thank
to
you.
to create that network and that relationship. So this is as good as I knew it was gonna
Yeah.
be. Thank you for coming and
Oh,
doing
thank
this
you
with
for
me.
having me. It
Because you
was fun.
are a leader. In
Oh,
many
thank
ways,
you.
you are a leader. And, this is exactly the point of this show is to just expose people to different types of leadership, different definitions of leadership, so that people can figure out their own definition of
Exactly.
leadership and what
Yeah.
leadership means to them. So I think, your story is so inspirational.
Oh, thank
And I really
you.
appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks so
welcome.
much.
All right, can you do a lightning round?
Sure.
All right. Lightning round, super fun. 60 seconds to answer as
Okay.
many open-ended questions as you can. Okay, I'm gonna set my timer. On your mark, get set, go. What season best fits your personality?
Oh, fall.
Aw. What is your most used emoji in text?
Laugh emoji.
Love it. What book, song, movie, or podcast has had the greatest impact on your life?
Oh, wow. Anything that has like really deep meaning to it.
Ooh, I like it. Okay. What's something about you that surprises people when they first hear it?
That I do have like an introverted, shy
Yes.
side. A
Yes.
lot of people don't see that.
I think that's surprising too. Okay. Ooh, I like this question. Fill in the blank. I spend too much money on.
Oh my goodness. Interior design.
I've heard you have a pretty zen house set up. What celebrity would you want to play you in a movie?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. Julia Roberts,
Yeah,
Sandra
she's
Bullock.
oh, Sandra Bullock. Yeah.
Probably Sandra. She's got a little bit
Yeah.
of the edge that I
Yeah,
have.
I like it. And you guys, you look alike. You two
Oh,
look
yeah.
alike. So I like that. Okay, that's good. That's good lightning round. Thank you
Okay.
again so
Thank
much for doing
you.
this.
Thanks.
You
It
are
was fun.
wonderful, and I'm excited to see what 2023 has in store for you.
And you as well.
Thank you. All
Thanks
right.
so much.
That's all the time we have today, everyone. Thanks for joining Leadership Rediscovered. And until next time, shine bright, everyone.